Hi, William. I think it's time that our audience get to know you better. So I am going to fire back 16 questions at you, and you can tell us all about yourself. So first question I've got for you is, what was your first music gig?
The first gig I went to was the Blue Tones in Fat Sam's in Dundee.
Oh, right. Okay, I know Fat Sam's. Which music artists do you like?
I think my favourite band is an American band called The National. Those are the albums I listen to the most. I love Frightened Rabbit, and I think Scott Hutchinson's suicide was just absolutely tragic. The Trash Can Sinatras, they're a band from my youth, which I listen to quite a bit. And there's an album, I Walk Across the Rooftops by the Blue Nile, that I sometimes just put on 3 or 4 times in a row. So I absolutely love that. And I'm getting towards the end of finishing Stuart Cosgrove's American Soul trilogy. And that's really got me into Northern Soul. And I've just loved discovering all of the songs that he talks about in his books.
Oh yeah, Northern Soul, I love that too. So fill in the blanks, please. Economists are
very often wrong and normally always politically motivated.
Yes. To be fair to them, I think everyone is. So next question. I know that you went to study economics at university, but you gave up. Why was that?
I remember being in my economics class, and I had the same feeling that I had when I was like 5 or 6 years old and I went to Sunday school. And I remember being told by my lecturers, kind of in all seriousness, that what they were telling me was true and was fact. And I remember thinking, I'm not buying any of this. And, you know, thinking back to like Sunday school, it was like cats and dogs and mice on a big boat during a flood. No, don't think so. And I kind of felt the same in my economics class. So this idea that perfect knowledge, that before you buy anything, you know the price of everything, I was like, that doesn't happen. And then it was talking about rational man, that, you know, we make all these choices completely deliberately and rationally. And I was just thinking, this just isn't true. But I mean, so that's a general reason why I stopped. But I suppose there were 2 particular instances. I remember writing an essay on price elasticity, and I used the example of street drugs. You know, I went to university in Dundee, and drugs were a huge problem at the time. And my lecturer read my essay, marked it down, and he said to me that I had to choose a more traditional example. And I thought, no, hold on a minute. This is what I want to talk about. And this is the type of problems that I want economics to help me understand and solve. So I really struggled with that it was all about what they were wanting to tell me and not what I wanted to learn. And then I think the final straw was that despite passing first year economics really easily, my lecturer said that unless I took first year mathematics, I wouldn't be allowed into second year. And I just thought, I don't want to learn maths to understand economics. So I choose politics instead of economics and stopped doing it in my second year.
Right, okay, that's very interesting. Yes. Now, tell us, where do you stand on Scottish independence?
I'm pro-independence, and my opinion, I think, was set when I was really young. I mean, I remember around 9 or 10 thinking quite strongly that decisions which affect Scotland should be made in Scotland, and independence just seemed really natural. I kind of later discovered this idea of subsidiarity, which is of making decisions as close to people as possible. And I really like that. So with independence for Scotland would come, I hope, decisions made by regions, cities, towns, and villages. So the nation state is kind of where I think a lot of the decisions have to be made. It's not being made in Scotland at the moment, but I really hope that with independence, we start to see decisions made a lot closer to the people.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree. Yes. So
excellent.
So what book or books are you reading right now? I've usually got a few on the go.
Yeah, because I'm packing up to go home, I've only got the 3 books out that I'm currently reading. So first book is the book I mentioned earlier, the Tragedy of Southern Soul, that's Stuart Cosgrove's book. I finished this a while ago, but I've been going back to it because of the food sovereignty stuff that we're doing. This is absolutely incredible. It was a brilliant book around trade. And then I'm almost finished a book that you're reading, and I think this is going to be the first book in our book club, which is Who Owns the Economy? And it's literally on every couple of pages. I'm like, no way is that true. The UK really does this. Absolutely fantastic. So I try and have a balance, but that's the 3 that I've got on the go at the moment.
Now, which economics book made the most impact on you?
I've got 2. The first one was Open Veins of Latin America, and it's by Eduardo Galeano. I think it's Open Veins of Latin America. It doesn't hold any punches, and then it's subtitled 5 Centuries of the Pillage of a Continent. And it just really blew me away, and it really did open my eyes to exactly what Spain did initially to Southern and Central America, and then what the UK did, and then what the US did. And I just couldn't believe that that's how we treated that continent over that period of time. And then the second book, which kind of brought a lot of those ideas really up to date, was The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. And that kind of laid bare what capitalism does to a modern economy now. So those are the 2 books that really had a fundamental impact on how I understood not just economics or capitalism, but the world.
Yeah, The Shock Doctrine was massive for me, and I was very lucky in seeing Naomi Klein speak at Dundee University. She came to Dundee. Who would be your dream guest or guests on SCOTONOMICS?
Well, I would love to speak to Naomi Klein and or Eduardo Galeano about their books. That would just be amazing. But I suppose to be parochial, I would just love to spend 30 minutes with Andrew Wilson, and he's kind of the lead person behind the S&P Sustainable Growth Commission. I would absolutely love that.
Okay, yes, interesting, yes. Now, what was your political awakening moment, would you say?
Oh, I don't know if I had a particular moment, because I was really political as a teenager. I remember I won the school mock general election in 1992 for the SNP. And at that time, I attended a lot of marches in Scotland. There's actually a picture which I've been trying to get a hold of, and I'll look for when I'm back in Scotland. It's on the front page of the Sunday Times, and I'm kind of marching placard high through the meadows. So I want to get a hold of that. So nothing in particular, but it's been something I've been interested for since I was a teenager.
Fill in the blanks. What are your thoughts about it? What are economics?
Economics. It's not a science. And I think economists spend too much time trying to prove that it is a science, and it's not a science. And I think it's made to be much harder than it actually is. And I think there's a lot of economists now who are trying to break that down and to help people understand and explain economics. And I hope that's what we're also trying to do with SCOTONOMICS. Would you agree? Is that one of our grand plans?
Yes, I think that is our grand plan now. That's our grand plan. You live in Barcelona, so I would imagine that you could speak Spanish. Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, my Spanish is passable, but not broadcastable, so don't ask me to say anything.
So what areas in economics fascinate you the most?
That is a really good question. And I can't really think of anything in particular, because I know that I'm on a journey, and my real interest in the economy, I think if I had to pin it down, I'm most interested in housing and homelessness and what people do with their homes. I think that's an area that I'm kind of really enjoying learning about. I'm amazed that I've gone back to a book about trade, because if you told me that 2 or 3 years ago that I was going to read a book about trade and then keep going back to it, I'd be surprised. So maybe kind of edging towards a kind of macro side, but in terms of, the disciplines within economics, I've not settled on one of those yet.
Do you think you have some special insights that might tease out some more information from our guests?
Well, that's such a good question. I hope so. I think that I'm definitely someone who says, hold on a minute, or that's not really what I think is going on, or that doesn't look like what's happening in my world. So I think these things are important for anyone who's involved in the show and watching the show, is to not believe everything that people are saying, is to really use it as information and go away and doing some research. And I think that's what I hope to do as co-host on the show.
You currently live in Barcelona. I think not for long, much longer, but how did you land there?
I used to love big cities. I lived in London for nearly 15 years, and I got a contract to organise events, and my boss kind of said, you know, you don't have to live in London. So I went back to him and said, I found a place in Barcelona, and he said, no, that's too far. So I said to him, what about if I moved to Edinburgh? He said, yeah, that'd be fine. And then I printed out the flights from Barcelona to London compared to Edinburgh to London. And I said, look, I can get back more often, almost as quickly from Barcelona. He said, right, okay, I'll be flexible with that. So and looked around, found a great place in Barcelona, and kind of never really looked back. It was a simple situation. I could live anywhere, and I couldn't really think of anywhere better at the time than Barcelona.
What is your favourite place in Scotland, and what would you be doing there?
This is probably a bit obscure. It's a place called Cathkin Park, and it's just outside Hampden Park in Glasgow, and it's an amazing place. It used to be Third Lanark's football ground, and it's kind of still there, but trees have grown all the way around it within the seating and the stands, and it's an amazing place. It's just got a real sense of history about it. And I'd be there with my two little boys and my partner, Nicola, and we'd probably be kicking the ball about and sitting, maybe having a couple of sandwiches in the stand. But that's not really a fair question to ask someone who's desperately looking to find a new home in Scotland. But that's my answer.
So, and the last question I've got for you is, why are you doing SCOTONOMICS?
That's a great question. I think the answer has to be that, I don't know how you feel, but no one else is doing it. And I think in general, the UK is so badly served by its national broadcaster. We've just got so little quality TV, but specifically we're terribly served in Scotland in terms of political and economic debate. And SCOTONOMICS is just part of what we're hoping to do at Independence Live, which is to start telling Scotland's story. So if other people want to do something else, that would be amazing. But I just felt we really needed to do it because people aren't served well enough by the kind of traditional media where you would hope to see these discussions and this information.
Well, that's great. I think I've got to know you a lot better now. And I think our audience probably have too. So thanks, William.
Brilliant. Thanks, Karen. See you later.
Bye.